Hi everybody, my name is Larsen. In this video I'm going to show you an exercise that's going to teach you how to find and use new material all over the neck, no matter what position you're in when you're improvising. Of course, you're already checking out your scales and arpeggios in all positions, and you need to build that foundation, but you also need to work on finding ways to use it and getting it into your playing. Ironically, one of the best ways to really become free on the neck is to limit yourself to one position and make sure that you can find some really practical solutions that you can actually make music with in that position. For me, this was a huge part of how I developed my fretboard overview and became able to play songs in all positions and move around freely when I'm improvising. If you want to learn more about jazz guitar, improve the way that you solo, check out some interesting arpeggios or chord voicings, then subscribe to my channel. If you want to make sure not to miss anything, then click the little bell notification icon next to the subscribe button. The basic exercise is really simple because it's about taking a song or a progression that you already know and then trying to improvise over it in one position. But the good thing about this approach is also that instead of just whenever you run into a problem, say, well, I just need to work more on my arpeggios or I need to know my scales better, we can start looking for a practical solution. So you look at what is available in this position that I can already play. If this doesn't work, what might work? And in that way, you're working on finding something that you can actually use when you're soloing. And that's going to help you improve a lot faster. So I'm going to cover this in a 4-step process about choosing the song, maybe some things you want to check out, some exercises you want to do just first to get familiar with it in this position. And then finally also about how you're improvising, how you're thinking about your improvisation and how you're solving problems. And then a final step that's more about really just trying out some new things and trying to incorporate that into your playing. The song and the progression. It's important that you start with a song that you already know or a progression that's very familiar to you. So maybe take a simple standard or something like a vamp, like a turnaround with also dominance, and start working on that. In this video, I'm going to use the song Lady Bird as a way of demonstrating some of the things I'm talking about. I'm going to do that because it's a song that I use often like this, and also because it has a short form, so it's a little bit easier to use that, and then I can use like bigger examples and still do like a whole chorus. You need to know the song by heart, and you also need to know how to improvise over it. And in that process, it's also very practical if you already know the chords and the scales and the arpeggios in advance. Choose the position. Now that we have a song, then the next thing that you need to figure out is which position do you want to play it in. I think I'm talking more just of a general area of the neck and not really a strict scale position. You can of course also say, well, this song is in this key and I'm going to take this position for that key and then try and stay within that. If you're playing a song that's moving around with a lot of different scales, you need to move your hand a little bit. And also if you're using, depending on what kind of scale position system you use, you're also going to need to move when you start to play. So don't be too rigid or too strict when it comes to choosing the position and staying in the position while you're playing. Another thing you also want to do now that you have a position is to maybe just look to do some preparatory exercises to just check out what the overview is before you start playing. So if we're using Lady Bird and then I want to play it in this position, so around sort of this C, then one way that you can check that out in advance could be to play the arpeggios of the song through the progression. So like with something like this. And so on and so forth. And again, just trying out different versions of what might work. And you can of course try and do this and see if you can find the arpeggios. And then from here, you can also do exercises like the Barry Harris scale exercise. All these kind of simple things that are easy to apply to a chord progression can be good to just get into playing in this position and will help you later once you start improvising. And it's the kind of stuff that you can do through a progression in almost no time. A thing to keep in mind when it comes to improvising in one position and an exercise like this is that this is the kind of thing that will help you. Of course, it will give you some overview if you're just doing it with one song in one position. But it is really the thing that you want to maybe have in your practice routine and work on for a longer period of time, because then it's really going to take that one song and open it up all over the fretboard. And that's also going to be something where you can actually take other exercises and then start connecting the different areas, and in that way become much more free. But that will be maybe for another video. Play the song in this position. Once you start playing, you need to notice what places are difficult to play. Are there chords that are more tricky than other ones? Or maybe there's like one transition from one chord to another that's more difficult to get out in this position. And those are the kind of things where sometimes you can work this out just by keep on playing. So you take a few more choruses and you're going to come up with some other solution, and that's going to sort of sort itself out. And other times you might want to stop for a bit and then just look at, well, when I'm going from this chord to this chord, what can I do? What is available? Maybe start checking sort of the basic different arpeggios that you can use. So if you're playing over, in this case, let's take the A flat major 7 going to A minor, then what can I use on the A flat major 7? So you have, of course, the A flat major 7 arpeggio. You can use the C minor 7. We can use the A flat major triad or the C minor triad, maybe C minor pentatonic. There are all these different things that you can use. And if I play that in this position, how is that going to help me get to the A minor? What is available there, and how can I sort of transition smoothly and play a natural melody to that? That's easy to play in this part of the neck also, because not every arpeggio is going to be equally practical in all positions. So it's good to just have other options. If you find that in this case the A flat major 7 arpeggio is kind of difficult to play, well, then it's good to have an F minor or a C minor arpeggio that you can use instead on that chord. And this is where it's really important to notice that you're not just going, well, I need to practice my arpeggios more, but you're actually just looking at, well, what can I play here? What works when I'm playing this song in this position? And how do I make that into music? And that's really how you want to practice. That's much more useful than going, well, I need to practice my A flat major 7 arpeggios in this area so that I can play them better and use them. Because you're probably better off just taking some of the other arpeggios that are easier to play in this position and then work on being really good at making some nice melodies and some nice lines with those. The reason that I can keep on publishing videos every week is that I have a community of people over on Patreon that are supporting the channel. I'm very grateful for their support, and it's because of that that I can keep on publishing all these very specific jazz guitar and music theory videos. If you want to help me keep making videos, then check out my Patreon page. If you join us over on Patreon, I can also give you something in return for your support. Creating variations and new material. Once you start working like this, you really build a good overview of the harmony and the song in this position. And you can use that when you want to develop new material and come up with some new ideas. There are some fairly simple exercises you can do that are going to help you connect things in a different way and add stuff to your vocabulary. The solo that I just played was playing Lady Bird in this position, but then only using the basic arpeggios of the song. Thinking like this is really helping me come up with some new stuff, because I have to put together stuff that I don't normally play like that, and also find solutions and still make it sound like music. And that's a very good exercise. And that's also really something that's going to give me some new material to work with. Another similar exercise is to play a solo over the form. And then again, I'm staying in this position, but I'm only going to try to play scale movement. And of course, this is going to give you some material that you can use when you're working with stuff you already know, like in this case, the scales and the arpeggios. But it's also really something that you can work with if you're trying to incorporate something new. So try to do the same thing with the arpeggio from the third of each chord, or maybe some pentatonic scales. There are all these things that you can start working with, where if you start to confine yourself to this area of the neck, you're going to be forced to come up with some new solutions and hear and try out some new melodies. And that's a really great way to come up with some new material. If you want to check out how I'm organizing the fretboard, so how I'm thinking about scales, arpeggios, and relating that to harmony and songs, then check out this video where I'm talking about my system for visualizing the fretboard. If you want to learn more about jazz guitar and it's the first time you see one of my videos, then subscribe to my channel. If you want to help me keep making videos, then check out my Patreon page. That's about it for this time. Thank you for watching, and until next time.